If life was someday proven to be a simulation, what glitch or anomaly could you point to as a major clue we'd missed? IDK if this is just me, but I often have a boring dream of myself in a classroom or on a bus, wake up and forget it pretty quickly. Then, many years later, I'm on a bus or in a classroom and I see something or hear something that I saw or heard in that dream. Then I suddenly remember that dream and get really confused. In reality, I probably dreamed about being in a different classroom or on a different bus and my brain took this new but very similar event and overlaid it over the old dream, changing my memory of that dream. It's happened about 10 times in my life so far. Deja Rev is the name for this, I believe. This is absurd, but I know the exact moment I would call BS on reality. I was out for supper with my mother, grandmother and sister, and after we had, mostly, finished eating there was a moment where my sister and I, across from one another, witnessed the same thing. It was a mundane dinner and mundane conversation, yet a moment occurred that I would shock my sister and I. While my mother and grandmother were talking, there was an instance where a white plate between my sister and I shook on the table. It had been clear previous, but post-table shake, a solitary French fry appeared on the plate. At first I thought I was the only person witnessing this bizarre appearing act, however post-appearing I locked eyes with my sister who had seen the same thing. We still talk about that stupid freaking fry to this day. Why physics appears to operate under different rules depending on whether you are looking at very big things or very small things. If it is a simulation, they simply faked the big things to save processing power, which is why quantum physics doesn't fit neatly in our understanding of the universe and likely why we are detecting dark matter. The way stuff behaves differently based on whether or not it's observed also seems like the programmers are trying to hide how the source code works. C. The speed of light reads like a hotfix. Change notes for version 1.000000001. Latter game players have been reporting a bug where objects appear to spawn before the spawn conditions have been met, causing erroneous results. Testing reveals that objects traveling at very high speeds cause an overflow on the time axis, resulting in unpredictable results and skyrocketing CPU usage. As a temporary fix, massless objects now have their velocity locked for call purposes. Objects with mass will require exponentially increasing energy to increase speed, hitting a hard wall at 3 times 10 to the power of 8 meters per second. This means interstellar travel is functionally disabled. Will eventually be addressed in the wormhole update, released TBA. For now, please stay away from any black holes. Welp, yesterday while driving with my daughter in the car, she says, "Dad, I'm starting to feel that this whole human thing isn't real." So I guess that would be confirmed as my first hint. Sometimes you get out of your house and walk past the same people a lot of times. Like, you are going to the market and walk past a dude walking the opposite direction. Then, you leave the market a couple of minutes and walk past the same dude, again in the opposite direction. This crap happens a lot with me and it's like a ton of people at the same time. It makes me feel like there aren't enough models of NPCs to throw around, so the Matrix just uses a bunch of the same. All those names of people in the news or running for different positions that just seem like the devs are messing with us. You could say the strict laws of physics that govern our reality. If we were in, say, a video game, we'd eventually start wondering why the rules seem absolutely rigid mathematical. Maybe the speed of light is just the speed limit for transmitting information within the network of our simulation. Also, there seems to be a limited resolution due to Planck's constant. When you run into someone you don't know and you both stare at each other saying, "You look familiar. Do I know you?" and then ask a million questions trying to figure it out and come to the conclusion that you don't in fact know each other, then walk away still wondering why that person looked so familiar. Dreaming. How it could be a gateway to another universe or version of yourself, and how do we manage to forget most dreams, especially the important ones? Keep a dream journal to remember dreams better. Write in it as soon as you wake up. Deja Rev. It's similar to deja vu, but it's where you've dreamed of a future moment. It's weird and for me it hasn't been useful, but one moment I'll be experiencing life and know what's going to happen, because I saw it in a dream. I'll even know about my futile attempts to change it from the dream. It only lasts a couple minutes at most and is at mundane moments, but it is freaky. I have had that. For me, the dreams are vague and slightly informed, and then when the thing happens IRL, it all snaps into place. Creepy. Before cell phones, I accidentally misdialed a person's number and got them at someone else's house with the wrong number being 3 numbers off. Hello, David speaking. Oh sorry, I must have misdialed. I was trying to get hold of my mom. Oh no bruv, she's here. Hold on, lem go get her out of bed. That thing where you go into a room for something and then forget why. Like a sim who had their action cancelled. That can't be for no reason. That was someone in our simulation cancelling our action. The observer effect in quantum mechanics. When something is in multiple states at the same time and when you measure watch it, you force it to take a state. Just looks like a computer saving resources by not loading useless crap. Or some RNG in an RPG where the loot isn't chosen until the end. Often when I learn about something new I've never heard about, all of a sudden it starts appearing randomly in some TV show I'm watching or a news Reddit article. They should fix the targeted ad algorithm to make it less obvious I'm living in a simulation. The need to sleep. Gotta reset the system or it slows down, has glitches and deteriorates because it can't clear out the useless junk and runs out of space. The dumbest thing about this is that even scientists who have studied sleep for decades can't really explain why we do it. The Baader-Meinhof phenomenon. When you learn something new it seems like you see it everywhere right after that. Like a video game, when you learn some new move then it is immediately applicable to your life. The dual slit experiment. Basically, light acts like a wave when you look at it. But if you look at light really closely, you see it's not a continuous wave but made of teeny little particles called photons. These photons, when there's loads of them, affect each other so they act in waves. Seems simple. However, when you fire photons one at a time at a piece of card with 2 slits in it, they still act like they're being affected by lots of other photons around them. So whoever designed our simulation wanted to model light using waves. But it was too complex so made photons instead. The same way a curve in a video game is actually made of square pixels. They never figured we'd get smart enough to experiment on individual pixels. Periods. Let's leave a trail of blood for predators to follow at the same time that I'm curling up in a fetal position from cramps. Super suspicious. Sounds like it was made by the same people who put Sims in a pool and removed the ladder so they can drown. Huh, never really thought about that. I sort of vaguely recall a biology lecture talking about how colons and bladders and sphincters evolved specifically to stop leaving trails of urine and feces for predators to follow, so that seems like a big oversight. Every field of study, including science, runs on assumptions that we can't prove, and no matter how much research we do we end up with loose ends. For example, we can't prove that the laws of physics have always been the same. We just have to assume they've always been that way when we run our models. My buddy, who just finished a PhD in material science, likes to say that when you go deep enough into research, you find out that everything we do, all the structures and theories and everything else, is resting on clouds of uncertainty. Like building a city on a tectonic plate that ultimately floats over a sea of melty lava juice. Look around the room you're in. Choose any random object within the room. What does it feel like to lick that object? You know what it feels like to have licked it, but have you ever? Single biggest glitch in my book. Pretty sure I actually have licked most of them. Children who are convinced that they've lived before and know sometimes verifiable facts about the person they think they were. Constant speed of light, quantized space, time and energy, slowing down time as speed increases, no information out of event horizons, increasing quantization at higher energy levels. I'm convinced we are in a simulation already. The fact that the moon and the sun can just about perfectly eclipse each other. What are the odds that the moon and sun would be the sizes they are and distances from the earth that they are to allow that to happen? Yes, came here to find this because I always thought this coincidence just a little too convenient. As Neil deGrasse Tyson likes to say, if we discover that we can simulate the universe, then more likely than not, we are probably living in a simulation ourselves. Man, that's freaky. Whenever you're driving down a straight road on a hot and it has a road mirage that looks like parts of the road haven't rendered yet. That's light bending around the thermal gradients. Being depressed despite any reason. I have a perfect family. I am annoyingly optimistic. I do everything and yet, here I am. It's like someone is just pushing the be more depressed button for shoots and giggles. I feel just like you. Everything is great for me. I can't pull myself together. I am medicated as well for anxiety, depression and addict. Putting something in one spot, going to get it and it's not there. Fast forward days, weeks, hours, and now it's there. I don't know about you guys, but this happens to me a lot. I don't think I am that scatterbrained because I specifically remember putting, say, my glasses on the bedside table. Then they aren't there. I go look all over the house, come back into the bedroom and there they are, on the bedside table. Towards the beginning of lockdown, I lost a USB memory stick with my entire phone gallery from 2019 on it, and I was really freaked out. I knew exactly where I left it but it wasn't there. I completely cleared out the whole area multiple times every day for weeks. Around a month later, I shifted some paper and it was there, exactly where I left it, in the exact spot. The speed of light, I mean a constant? That makes no freaking sense and honestly probably has more to do with the simulation maximum processing speed. When you can't sleep at all and you try everything to sleep but seem unable to, then that means that the sleep servers are full and you gotta wait till the servers give you a spot. When street lights shine through leaves, the shadows on the ground are a perfect grid pattern, like poorly rendered shading effects. That's modern LED lighting with its grid arrayed diode chips. Was not so back in the days of analog sodium vapor street lights. I've noticed the change too in the last 10 years or so. Missing items like keys or tools. Those things you're positive are there but aren't when you look but reappear after you go back to look. The distances between particles. If we could magnify the hydrogen atom so that its nucleus, a proton, were the size of a basketball, then its lone electron would be found about 2 miles away. Everything seems to be mostly made up of nothing. When you look really closely it's as if we're holograms. We're a simulation that more advanced humans are running to see if how the humans in the simulation, us, find out that they are in a simulation. Then the humans that made our simulation can use that to determine if they are in a simulation. Simception. I have epilepsy and I swear when I have a seizure it feels like I have been reset. It's the strangest thing. I feel tired but it legit feels like my body is booting up. Like my seizure was a deletion of unneeded data, an update and a reboot. Pain. One time I will literally fall face first into the ground and be fine. Then I will maybe just accidentally walk into a table with my toe and start planning my funeral already. I once exclaimed how it was weird that I have never seen a road painted. Literally less than 5 seconds later I see a truck coming down the road painting lines. Nice hot fix. Devs, you should have waited a few weeks. Late to the party but back in high school some buddies and I were riding around in my buddy's Jeep on a Saturday night in the middle of summer. Being a group of immature, high testosterone, spontaneous youth we were equally entertained by dialing random numbers and seeing if anyone would pick up the phone and then what they happened to be up to. I'm telling you it was random to the point where my buddy would plug in our local area code followed by the next 7 numbers that came to his mind. After a while of driving around aimlessly my buddy finally dialed a number that was picked up by another kid roughly our age. My buddy, overjoyed that someone had actually entertained his phone call, immediately asks the kid if he knows of any parties going on. Just as the kid on the other line responds that he and his buddies are in search of a party as well. Another Jeep with a group of kids pulls up next to us at a traffic light and I can hear the echo of his response coming from the vehicle right next to us. Wait, are you in the car right next to us? Both vehicles start freaking out at the light. We all pulled into a nearby parking lot, had a laugh about the randomness that had just transpired and then tracked down that party where Mike ended up losing his virginity. What are the odds that we would randomly dial the number of a group of kids riding around in the same part of town also looking for something to do on a random weekend night? Murphy's Law. Everything that can go wrong will go wrong. But it only applies when you think about it before doing a thing. It's like a secret cheat code in a game except it's the opposite. The time jump from March to October. I don't remember them 6 months. I remember a few moments of lockdown but not certain days. It's all mushed together, and I remember everything. Abraham Lincoln was elected to Congress in 1846. John F. Kennedy was elected to Congress in 1946. Abraham Lincoln was elected president in 1860. John F. Kennedy was elected president in 1960. The names Lincoln and Kennedy each contained 7 letters. Both were particularly concerned with civil rights. Both wives lost their children while living in the White House. Both presidents were shot on a Friday. Both were shot in the head. Kennedy's secretary, Lincoln, warned him not to go to Dallas. Both were assassinated by Southerners. Both were succeeded by Southerners. Both successors were named Johnson. Andrew Johnson, who succeeded Lincoln, was born in 1808. Lyndon Johnson, who succeeded Kennedy, was born in 1908. John Wilkes Booth was born in 1839. Lee Harvey Oswald was born in 1939. Both assassins were known by their 3 names. Both names are comprised of 15 letters. Booth ran from the theater and was caught in a warehouse. Oswald ran from a warehouse and was caught in a theater. Booth and Oswald were assassinated before their trials. Deja vu, SP. Any explanation that has been offered sounds a whole lot like science pulling the "that's not a glitch, it's a feature" routine. Black holes are definitely a hole in the map. What's down, over, up, through there? We haven't the faintest idea, but once you go through, good luck coming back. Australia. It's the first continent of a DLC we never got to. Now it just feels off somehow. It was going to be the one you play when you've beaten the rest and are growing bored. Chameleons. Worry too many plot holes there. If they can change color, how do we know they're green? What's up with their tiny hands? And don't even get me started on their nightmare tongues. You never know for sure you don't have a pet chameleon. The idea or concept of needing to prove our self-worth. Why do people have to prove their self-worth in the world? Isn't it enough to just exist? It's a strange phenomenon. It fuels a lot of the chaos that has existed, is existing in the world, and it makes absolutely no sense. Well, if you think about it, we are kind of in an escape room. There is everything we need to cure illness and make life fantastic and then get off this rock. All we have to do is figure it out and not destroy each other or the things we need before we do figure it out. If the world is a simulation and you discovered how to glitch proof it, then what's stopping the simulation from resetting your mind and wiping out all the new knowledge you gained and fixing or patching the glitch? I might have discovered it 100s of times, yet I don't remember. This is a bad place. If you are new to the channel, you can subscribe. I publish new videos every day. Until then, check another video. Bye for now.